Okay, so this is the the APA lecture. We're going to go through this APA PowerPoint that you have on Moodle, and then we're going to go through. I'm going to show you the response essay template as we move forward in the through the semester, through the rest of the semester. There will be smaller videos that will add to this particular video based on which assignment we're going to be looking at. So over the next few weeks, what we're going to be looking at is how we build APA and how we integrate APA into our writing. Okay, but the first thing we're going to do is just go through this PowerPoint, excuse me, and cover the basics of APA and what it actually is. And the American Psychological Association, or APA citation style, is the most commonly used format for manuscripts in the social sciences. But as I noted in class, the social sciences are not the only discipline that that uses APA. That all the major disciplines are starting to move over to it. Because of the way that it's structured. The structure for it is more conducive to the type of research that all of the disciplines are doing, whether it's social sciences, the physical sciences, or the humanities, or the maths, or we're starting to see it a lot in the medical field. I mean, they're all drifting towards APA just because the structure. MLA does not offer the same advantages with their structure, neither does Chicago. So that's why we're starting to see it more um, in more of a shift to APA because of the way the APA structure allows all the disciplines different advantages. So APA regulates stylistics, in-text citations, and references. Same thing as MLA and Chicago. They really push first person, okay? Because a lot of the social sciences, when we look at the social sciences, and remember this is built for them, um, is built around case studies, and so they push first person point of view to kind of give it a more direct influence, if that makes sense. First person pronouns rather than the third person. So instead of the authors conducted an experiment and saying, you know, talking about yourself in the third person, you're going to go ahead and own it and say, we conducted an experiment. Another example of this is we asked participants questions. The tests were inconclusive, etc. So in this course is just basic grammar stuff, but they really push this. So make sure you have an active first person voice, and passive when you're stressing the recipient or object of that action. But you don't want to deal too much with the passive voice. It gets a little dangerous with that. So try and keep everything active. Language in the APA papers should be clear, be specific in your descriptions and explanations, concise, condense the information when you can, and plain. Use simple descriptive adjectives and minimize figurative language. So in other words, you don't have to use really big words, you know, keep it what we've been talking about all semester, you know, use the vocabulary that you have. Don't try to add to it while you're writing. That is the worst time to add to it. Okay. Um, the types of APA papers that you're going to be doing, a lot of it is quantitative. Okay. In other words, you're going to be reporting quantitative research, which uses empirical and numerical information, often analyzed through statistical means. So again, excuse me, case studies, lab reports, theorems, those kinds of things. That is what APA is more conducive to. Now, in the humanities, we are able to take and convert that, and you're going to see that with the evaluation in the causal and your response essays. By using their structure, by using the APA structure in a way that um, that helps the reader understand the exact message that you're trying to convey and the argument that you're trying to put forward. Okay, in the quantitative essays, you're going to have your title page, your abstract, an introduction, the method, the results, and the discussion. Okay, kind of the same thing we did the other day. They're using a different terminology than what I used in class the other day, but this is what they do. Okay, and the next type, the qualitative articles, you're going to be reporting qualitative research which uses scientific practices to learn more about human experiences that cannot be numerically quantified. And this is going to include a title page, an abstract, an introduction, method, findings and results, and discussion. And then, of course, you have what's known as the lit review, which summarizes scientific literature on a particular research topic. While the APA publication manual does not require a specific order for a lit review, a good literature review typically contains following components: introduction, thesis statement, summary and synthesis of sources, list of references. We'll talk more about the lit review later, because the interesting thing is you have in the humanities, we actually put the lit review inside of the essay. Remember, the structure that we're looking at here is mostly social science structure, okay? But the structures that I gave you the other day, that is all humanities, okay? That's what we do in the humanities. So keep that in mind as we move forward, okay? You're going to be using the humanities structure of APA. All right. If your essay is not quantitative, qualitative, or a lit review, consult your instructor. That's me. Consult the APA publication manual, and that will be me too. Okay, because I'm not going to get y'all, unless you go out and buy your own publication manual, I'm not going to be providing it. I am going to provide you as much material as you need for basic APA stuff. But if you really want to get into APA, you're going to have to buy the manual yourself. It's not that expensive either. It's like 20 bucks, I think. So it's not bad. It's actually cheaper than the MLA, I think. So there you go. So your essay needs to be typed, double-spaced, have 1-inch margins, use standard 12-point font. I'm going to require Times New Roman 12-point font. Okay, that is the requirement for my essays. All right, and of course, printed on standard size 8.5 by 11-inch paper. Because you're doing everything digitally, it needs to be digitally 8.5 by 11. Okay, so you just set the standard. Use the standard template in Word. Okay. Excuse me. Every page of your essay should include this. If I turn it, should include the title page, the page number in the upper right. Student papers do not require running headers. So you see where it says awesome example of APA paper, you're not going to have that. You're just going to have the page number, okay, because you're doing student paper. If you're doing it professionally, you will do that. You will put your running head up here, what they call the running head. All right. Your essay will have 4 major sections. We talked about a little bit about this the other day. I introduced you with the title page, the body, and the conclusion. A full-blown essay is going to have your title page, your abstract, your main body, and your references, and then an appendix if you go that far. And we'll talk about that when we get to the causal. Okay. But your formals are going to have these 4. All right. The response essays are just going to have the title page and the body. And we'll talk about that in just a moment when we look at the response essay. Sorry. Note that APA 7 has slightly different formatting rules for professional and student papers. Professional papers are those intended for academic or commercial publication, while student papers are those written for a credit in a course. You will be doing the student papers, not the professional papers. So there's going to be several different slides in here in this particular PowerPoint that I'm going to jump over because they're dealing with the professional papers. We're only going to focus on the student papers for now, okay? You will learn about professional papers or professional style when you get into your disciplines, okay, if they're using the APA professional. Otherwise, you're going to be required to know the student version only. Most of these differences extend to the title page and the running header. Again, with the student papers, you don't have a running header. It's just a page number. So in the next few slides, we're going to look at the student paper versus the student paper and what you have to focus on. All right, so with the title page, you do not have a running header. You're just going to have the page number. And the title itself is going to be in the upper half of the page, like I showed you the other day. About 2.5 inches down is where you want to start it, okay? You do not need your title or degree. You do not need to put an author's note down here at the bottom. If we go to the next page, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is a professional paper. You don't have to have the author's note, okay? So you're just going to put this information in. The response essay template has already got all this information ready for you. You just have to take it and change it to put your information in, okay? Here we go, the abstract. All right, again, student papers, you do not need a running head. So ignore that right there. Abstract, you're going to have about 150, 250 word abstract of your essay. Now, for the response essays, you do not need an abstract. This is only for the formals, and we're going to talk more about the abstracts in a separate video as we get closer to the evaluation, which will be your first formal using APA, okay? So for now, don't worry about the abstract. Just know that when we get to the formals, that's going to be right after the page, the title page. Okay. Main body, you're going to number the first text page is page number 3 because you will have the title page and the abstract. Now with the response essay, it'll be page number 2. Okay. You will center and bold the full title of the paper at the top of the first page. Okay. And that will be the subheading for the introduction. Type text double space with all sections following each other without a break. Identify the sources you use in the paper with either narrative citations or parenthetical in-text citations, and then format tables and figures. We're going to talk about tables and figures later when we get to the causal essay. Reference page, just like the works cited page, you're going to center the title. At the top of the page, you will bold it. Unlike an MLA, you will bold this so you can see it as we talked about in class. APA works in a different manner. They want you to slow down and pay attention to things, so you will be bolding your titles and subtitles. Double space reference entries, just like you would in a works cited page, flush left the first line of the entry and indent the subsequent lines. So you're going to have that hanging indent still, okay? So don't forget that. Order entries alphabetically by the surname of the first author of each work. So here we have in Ambedy, American Association of Universities. Left the first line of the entry and indent the subsequent lines. So you're going to have that hanging indent still. Okay, so don't forget that. Order entries alphabetically by the surname of the first author of each work. So here we have in Ambedy, American Association of University Professors, American Association of University Professors, Anderson, Armstrong, Atia, and then Bachin and McLaughlin. Okay, we'll talk about this too. Notice too, before we go any further, the authors' names, you don't have to put their first name anymore. Unlike in MLA where you put their first name, you put their first initial. So it'd be J. Smith instead of John Smith. Okay. Last name first, followed by the initials. Excuse me. If you're using the title, capitalize only the first letter of the first word of a title and subtitle, the first word after a colon or a dash in the title, and proper nouns. Do not capitalize the first letter of the second word in a hyphenated compound word. So in other words, the exception of proper nouns in the first word, you don't have to you don't have to capitalize anything in the title. Okay, if you're using the title as the reference, the reference tag. Capitalize all major words in journal titles, italicize titles of longer works such as books and journals. Remember containers. You're going to italicize everything that is a container. Do not italicize, underline, or put quotes around the titles of shorter works such as journal articles or essays and edited collections. All right, so this is a huge different rule than MLA. In MLA, we put quotation marks around journal article titles, right? In APA, you don't. You only italicize the container title, but the article title itself gets nothing special. Don't underline it, don't bold it, don't put it in quotation marks. Just leave it regular, as you can see in the example that they've got here on the slide. Notice that the title of the article is Relationship Knowledge and Attitude About Fast Food with Obesity on Teenagers, and then it's coming from the container Journal of Economic and Management Perspectives. Okay, so notice that the container, again, the journal itself is in italics, where the title of the article is it's just left the way it is. Okay, you don't have to put quotation marks around it anymore. Okay, in MLA you do, in APA you don't have to. Okay, so APA is a complex system of citations. When compiling the reference list, the strategy below might be useful. Number one, identify the type of source. Is it a book, a journal article, or a web page? Once you have decided, okay, this is a book, then know that it's going to be italicized, right? Find a sample citation for this type of source. You can check a textbook or the OWL APA guide, and they give you that. I'm going to show you how to get to that on our Moodle page in just a moment. And then mirror, quote unquote, mirror the sample. In other words, do what the sample's doing. Make sure that the entries are listed in alphabetical order and that subsequent lines are indented. Here's the thing. Let's go ahead and talk about citation builders, okay? I do not encourage you to go and use a citation builder, but I can't stop you either, okay? So I'm going to give you this piece of advice. If you use a citation builder, double check it before you put it into your reference page. In other words, find an example and make sure that it is correct. Some of the citation builders have not updated to 7th edition APA. They're still using 6th edition, and it will be wrong. Okay, so make sure you double check it before you put it in your reference page. All right. Again, I prefer that you do the citations on your own. That way you learn them and you can get better at them. But if you insist on using a citation builder because you're just like, screw it, I don't care about you, old man, double check it before you put it in your paper. That way it's right, okay? Because the citation builders are only as good as the edition that it's using, okay? So double check it every time. Do not assume that it's right, because there are times where it's not going to be right, okay? If you're using Word, if you're using the Word in Microsoft Word, the generator in Word, double check it before you submit it. I don't know if the most recent update to Word has got 7th edition or 6th edition. I know that when 7th edition came out, they were still running 6th in Word. So double check it and make sure that everything is right before you just assume that Word is not going to do you wrong, right? Word is more like a teenage girlfriend, right? Or teenage boyfriend. You don't know for sure if they're doing you right or not. All right. Next, in-text citations help readers locate the cited source and reference section. In-text citations follow either a parenthetical format or a narrative format. Parenthetical citation includes both the author's last name and the year of publication, separated by a comma in parentheses at the end of the sentence. So there you have the basic APA in-text citation. The author's last name and the year. Notice there's a comma there. Okay. A narrative citation includes the author's name directly in the sentence with the year of publication directly following the author's last name. So you're using the author in the signal phrase here. Okay. Atkins, 2018, suggests that Purdue OWL is a good source for students. So what you want to do is make sure anytime you have a author's name, the date has to be with them. Okay, if you don't have the date, you're amputating them. So make sure that you have the date with the author in APA. We don't do that in MLA. A lot of you have been trying to do it in MLA. That's not what we do in MLA. Now in APA, I'm requiring it, right? Next thing we're going to look at is page numbers. If the source you're citing includes page numbers, add that information to the citation, okay? So in the first one, in the parenthetical citation, notice that you're going to have the author's name, comma, the year, comma, and then the page number. Notice it's P.12, Okay, so you're going to put P dot whatever instead of MLA where we just have the number, right? In APA, you put P dot, okay? For narrative citation, the page number comes at the end of the sentence, once again preceded by a lowercase p and a period. So you'll have Atkins 2018 suggests that the Purdue OWL is a good source for students, and then again, page 12 at the end. I require some kind of in-text citation at the end of every sentence. So if you use the author's name in the signal phrase, then you've got to put some kind of citation at the end on top of that. And of course, the problem with that is a lot of your sources are HTML documents that don't have page numbers. You put NP, N.P. Okay, so put N.P in your in-text citation at the end if you don't have any kind of page numbers. I require citations for everything. Okay, so you're going to cite everything. Okay, so if it doesn't have page numbers, you will put N.P. Dot. Okay, I'll show you that when we get to in-text citations and we do it. There's a whole mini lesson on in-text citations, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But you keep that in mind. All right, you're going to put a parenthetical at the end of every sentence, no matter what you do with the author. Okay. If you have the author in the year, you're going to and no page number, you'll put N.P after 2018. If you have the author in year up here, then you're going to put N.P down here where it says P.12. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And we'll talk about that more when we get to in-text citations. All right. Again, and they're talking about in-text or signal phrases, that kind of thing. If you're using a parenthetical citation, make sure that your signal phrase points to the information that you're providing within the quote itself. If you're using the author as the signal phrase, make sure that the author is credited with the information that you're giving in the quote. Okay, so that's the big thing about signal phrases, right? All right. For multiple, you have an author who is putting together a collection, you're going to put et al. For multiple authors. So you'll have Berryman, who is the editor, right? And then et al. For all of the other authors that he's editing in his particular essay. Okay. They also say when you're paraphrasing or you're summarizing, make sure that you cite it. You're going to have to do that too. I want citations for everything that you borrow. Okay, so just like with MLA. All right. And then, of course, they go over a couple of things that we've already done with MLA, introducing quotations with signal phrases. Again, signal verbs. We've already talked about with they say, I say. When the parenthetical citation includes two or more works, you're going to put a semicolon, and you're going to have the first work and then the second work broken up by that semicolon. Okay, so let's say that you have a sentence where you have two quotes from two different authors. Okay, you're going to put the first author and the year, and then the second author and the year in the order that they show up in the sentence. Okay. Next, you have two authors. If it's two authors, you're going to name them. If it's more than two authors, you're going to put et al. Okay, so that's the big thing. With two authors, you'll put and you'll put their last names. More than two authors, you're going to put et al. Okay, unknown author, you're going to do what's known as, or you're going to use what's known as the first non-article word from the title. So in this case, it's here's, but let's say that the title starts with the, we'll say, and here's, right? Or, and, well, the students, right? If it's the students, you're going to use students, okay? Because it's the first non-article word, all right? So it's the first non-article word of the title and then the year that it was written. You don't have to put the whole title. And for the love of God, do not put a hyperlink, okay? You don't need it. Just put the first non-article word, okay, in the title. When citing a group or author, you're going to use the FDA if it's the group, okay? Or you can do this, all right, depending on how you actually name out the FDA, okay? So let's say you don't lay out Food and Drug Administration, you will lay it out here and then in brackets put FDA, and then from then on you will actually use FDA. Or you can do Food and Drug Administration in the sentence and then FDA in parentheses. These are just nitpicky things that I really don't care about. When citing authors with the same last names, you're going to use their first initials to distinguish them. When citing personal communication, you're going to put personal communication as the method and the date in which you got that personal communication. And then we've got no page, that kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's talk about headings. We're going to talk more about in-text citations and reference pages in separate videos later when we go into more detail about that. Let's talk about the heading levels, okay, because you're going to hear a lot about this. All right. You only need to worry about level 1 and level 2. You're not going to get into level 3, 4, and 5. Level 3, 4, and 5, you're looking at papers that are 20 pages or more. Okay, you're not going to be writing that much for me. So we're just going to focus on level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is where you have your the beginning of the paper. This is where your subheading for your introduction goes. It goes in the center and it goes at the top. Okay. Level 2 is once you get into the body and you're going to again lay it out to the left and indent it to follow the paragraph. And I'll show you that here in just a minute when we pull up the response essay template. Okay. Here's an example of 5-level heading system. You have the methods at the top: level 1, level 2, level 3, and then level 4, 5. Again, you're not going to be doing any of the 3, 4, and 5 because those are for longer, much more involved papers. Okay. Tables, we'll talk about them when we get to the causal essay, and of course figures, we'll talk about them as well. And here's where you can get all your information. We'll show you in just a moment how to get additional resources for all of this. Okay. So, and of course, this was brought to you by the Purdue Online Writing Lab. Okay. Let's see. I don't know what you're looking at now, so let me stop sharing. Let me go and go here. Okay. So now you should be looking at the middle page. So if we go down and we look at the MLA resource block, you will notice here's general formatting rules. If you open this up, this is a just a guide with a lot of information that I pulled off of OWL when they updated the 7th edition, but it's all compacted into this particular PDF. You have this, I'm going to show you that in just a second. The APA sample paper, you can download this. This is a full sample paper. It's got the title page, the abstract, everything you can look at. It's got notes on it talking about what you got to do. This is the PowerPoint we just went through. You can download it and look at it anytime you want. This is a practice thing that you can do, and of course a citation guide, which I think I showed all of you. But check it out because you've got APA, MLA, and Chicago side by side, and you can see the differences between the three, and you can go through and adjust what you need to adjust as far as style goes. Okay. Finally, we have the response essay template, which I'm going to go over in just a moment. The first thing I want to do, though, is show you the OWL page. So if you click on that, you follow the link out. Got it. Follow the link out. You will see it takes you straight to the APA 7th edition guideline page, okay? And it's got all the stuff you need. Basic rules for in-text citations, reference list rules, APA legal references, footnotes and appendices, numbers, statistics, additional resources, headings, PowerPoint slides, same PowerPoint that I just showed you, sample paper, tables and figures, classroom poster, changes in the 7th edition, goes over all the things that changed from 7th or from the 6th edition. So you've got all kinds of stuff, and you can actually, they still have the 6th edition loaded here, so you can go and look at the differences between 6th and 7th, but we will be using the 7th, okay, as our guide, okay? So you can go out here and just check it out, and if you just click on any of them, boom, there you go. It brings up all this wonderful stuff and shows you how to do it in APA, okay? So that's that. Go back to this, and let's look at the response essay template. So now I've got to share that. Okay, Windows. All right, so what happened? Hold on, guys. Here we go. All right. So this is the response essay template. Okay. So you've got 2 response essays coming up for the novel section for Unit 2. This is going to be the first thing you need to download and use. Everything is set for you. The page numbers are set. You don't have to change anything. The title is set exactly the way it's supposed to be. You want to have a double space in between, like a double space between title of the response essay and of course your name. You'll put your name here, leave that. You'll put your section, double check your section. FJB01 is the 8 o'clock section on Monday and Wednesday. That does not necessarily mean that you're in that section, so make sure you double check which section you're in. Then my name and then the date, okay? And then you come down here. This is where the introduction subtitle goes, and then all the subheadings you've got here, okay? And everything that you need is in this body. Indent the first paragraph here, start your essay. You'll continue the essay from here on out. You will only have 3 sections in your response essays. Introduction, which is this paragraph. The main title is the heading, analysis with its own subheading right underneath it, and the conclusion with its own subheading. And of course, you can see here's the analysis subheading. It goes here. You will begin your analysis here under this subheading and present the bulk of your response for the body of the essay here. You'll have multiple paragraphs in this section. And then, of course, your conclusion subheading goes here. Once you've moved through your analysis sufficiently, you will conduct your response here under, or conclude your response here under conclusion subheading. Due to the nature of the response essays, you will not be required to have an abstract or reference page, only the title and body. So there you go. All right, so there's the response essay template. Okay, just fill this stuff in. That's all you got to do. Okay, that is that. So like I said, there will be more. Videos coming, shorter videos. This one is about 35 minutes long. The other videos will be about 5 to 10 minutes long, focused on specific things with APA. But this is the broad thing. And like I said, all you got to do is download the template and use it. Okay. Start with the response essay template. As we move forward, I will load more templates. Okay. Make a great day. Be safe. Be healthy. I will see you all in class next. So, bye.